Welcome into TCO Studios. I'm Tatum Everett, and this is Pick 6 presented by KFAN. It's crazy to think we only have 2 more weekends without regular season Vikings football. So let's get to your fan questions before this final preseason game. There's some good ones. Here's the first one. It's for Vikings legend and Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive lineman John Randall. The question is, can you talk about what the defense looks like visually? And here's John's answer.
It's going to make the offense guy think when you're playing against them. You got to make precise decisions on what you're doing against them, because you make a mistake and you play right into Brian's hand. And I mean, it's for the guys playing underneath them, the players, they're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a unique Vikings style of defense. I think it's going to be similar to what we had back in the 90s. And most of all, the guys are going to be excited, and it's going to be something special. Put it this way, just get your popcorn ready. Let's put it that way.
Thank you, John. I can vouch for the defense. They're getting pressure on the quarterbacks during these joint practices, so I'm excited to see what they can do when the regular season starts. Let's get to question number 2, and it's a very relevant one right now. It's from Fred, and he asks, what changed from preseason where it was beneficial for the starters to play some to now where people are wondering if great coaches have gone mad for putting a starter in for one preseason series? Vikings radio analyst Pete Bursich takes this one.
Fred, thank you for the question. I think it's a very good one. I think what's changed are priorities. The priorities of the front office, the priorities of ownership, the priorities of general managers, and that's the main goal now coming out of training camp, is not to field the best team that you can week 1 with the right amount of work. It's about keeping guys healthy because of the contracts and because how much the guaranteed money that's out there. You're not really too deep at any position, very few positions even, let alone across the entire team. So keeping guys healthy is the main thing, and that's why you see a lot of these combined practices as well, because they can control those situations a lot more. So less than ideal, yeah, but I think that's the main push for the change in what you're seeing as far as preseason playing time.
Thanks, Pete. Always appreciate your insight. You can hear from Pete on the broadcast of this weekend's preseason game on Fox 9 and, of course, KFAN. Moving on to question number 3. Eric from Marshall asks, what are the expectations for JJ in year 4? What's his ceiling? Well, Eric, we got someone really special to weigh in on this one, former Vikings receiver and NFL on CBS analyst Nate Burleson.
The expectations for Justin, the best receiver in the game. Let's go for the triple crown. Why not? Most catches, yards, touchdowns. Lead your team into the playoffs. Be the go-to guy in a playoff game, even though they'll be focusing on you. Continue to use that momentum to make a Super Bowl run. And then also be the highest paid receiver in NFL history. That will happen.
Thank you, Nate. We also have very high and exciting expectations for JJ in year 4. Staying on that side of the ball for our next question. What can we expect from the backfield? From Alexander Mattison being the total bell cow to a 50-50 split with Ty Chandler. KFAN personality and longtime Minneapolis sports broadcaster Mark Rosen answers this one.
Well, thanks for the question, Ragnar. And I think what we're going to see from Alexander Mattison, he's been waiting, of course, biding his time as Dalvin Cook has had, yeoman work in the backfield. I think it's going to be a combination of Mattison and Ty Chandler. I think he's going to finally have an opportunity to show why the Vikings liked him in the draft. But don't ignore the fact that getting Josh Oliver in the middle of that offensive line, he is a huge human being. I think that's going to help open up the running game, and it's imperative. We know what the Vikings have with their receiving corps, with 3 really studs in that receiving corps, starting with Justin Jefferson. But the running game is not going to be ignored. Kevin O'Connell will not ignore it. And I think Madison's going to have a big year. I think Ty Chandler's going to have an opportunity as well.
Thank you, Rosie. Enjoy having you here on Pick 6. Now, Alexander Mattison hasn't played a snap this preseason and will likely not see him this weekend against the Cardinals, so it's a great opportunity for Ty Chandler to keep impressing the coaching staff. Moving on to question number 5. This is from Christopher James, and he asks, which rookie looks to be a lock on special teams this year? Vikings Entertainment Network's Gabe Henderson delivers this answer.
Chris, appreciate the question. Ivan Pace is the first guy that comes to mind, just simply because of what he's done on defense. It's still unknown if he's going to be the starter, but if he's not starting, special teams is where he can make his money. Kickoff return, punt team, punt return. All 4 of those phases of the game is where he can make his money. And I believe ultimately once the season starts to get going, he's going to be in that starting defensive lineup. But as of right now, special teams is his moneymaker.
Thanks, Gabe. Ivan Pace Jr., certainly a difference maker. And as an undrafted rookie free agent, I agree with you. I think he'll be a lock on this year's roster. We only have one more question to go. This one is from Susan. She asks, besides Brian Flores' coaching style, how will the defense be different or better than it was last season? NFL on Fox host Kurt Menefee visited training camp and answers this one.
I think this Vikings defense will be different than it was last season. We'll find out if it will be better. But the thing is you're going to see pressure come from a lot of different places because they don't have that stud pass rusher. You know, maybe Daniil Hunter, but outside of that, there's no one guy you can put all your eggs in his basket. So you're going to see blitzes, you're going to see coverages that are a little bit different and guys coming from all over the place just to try and create some pressure. And I think that's a lot different than what they did last year when they kind of sat back and let opposing offenses just kind of, unfortunately, march down the field.
Thanks, Kurt, for contributing to this episode of Pick 6. That wraps this one up, and there will not be another one until the first week of the regular season. Stick with Vikings.com or the Vikings app as we prepare for the 2023 Vikings season.